This is the Brownstone Center News Update for Monday, April 7th, 2025, your early evening news. Supreme Court Justice John Roberts has issued a temporary administrative stay, putting off a midnight deadline for the government to return a mistakenly deported Maryland man to the U.S., giving the court more time to consider the arguments presented by both sides. The Trump administration has asked the Supreme Court for emergency intervention in the case of Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, who the government, by its own admission, removed to El Salvador by mistake. Roberts did not explain the decision. Administrative stays are not rulings on the merit in any way and do not indicate one way or the other how the court might actually rule. The Supreme Court requested a response to Trump's request from Garcia's attorneys by 5 p.m. on Tuesday. President Donald Trump has threatened to slap an additional 50% tariff on all Chinese imports unless Beijing recalls its proposed retaliatory 34% levy hike in another escalation of the trade war that has wiped out trillions of dollars from stock markets. Last week, the U.S. president rolled out sweeping tariffs ranging from 10% to 49% on imports from all countries. These included a further 34% duty on imports from China, on top of the existing 20% enacted in the months before. Beijing has announced it will retaliate with a 34% levy hike on U.S. goods by Thursday. Indian police have arrested a 24-year-old American YouTuber who visited an off-limits island in the Indian Ocean to try to make contact with an isolated tribe known for attacking intruders. The young man from Scottsdale, Arizona, was arrested on March 31st, 2 days after he set foot on the restricted territory of North Sentinel Island, part of India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands, in a bid to meet people from the reclusive Sentinelese tribe, police said. A local court last week sent him to a 14-day judicial custody, and he is set to appear again in the court on April 17th. The charges carry a possible sentence of up to 5 years in prison and a fine. Indian authorities said they had informed the U.S. Embassy about the case. Zimbabwean President Emerson, we're going to skip the last name, has announced plans to remove tariffs on goods imported from the U.S. in an attempt to improve bilateral relations, which have been strained for years. The move over the weekend comes days after U.S. President Donald Trump introduced new global reciprocal tariffs aimed at addressing trade imbalances. He also has accused foreign nations of abusing the openness of the U.S. market and ripping off the American people. Several African states have been affected by the measure, with Zimbabwean goods facing 18% levies. Zimbabwe's neighbor, South Africa, on which Trump placed a 30% rate, has expressed concern about the unilaterally imposed and punitive tariffs, arguing that they serve as a barrier to trade and shared prosperity. No European country would enforce the International Criminal Court's arrest warrant for Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu, Belgian Prime Minister Bart de Wever has claimed. During last week's visit from the Israeli Prime Minister, Hungary announced its intention to withdraw from the Rome Institute or Statute, the treaty that grants authority to the ICC. The court, which depends on national jurisdictions to execute arrests, accuses Netanyahu of war crimes in the Gaza conflict. Progressive Furniture has become one of the first U.S. companies to announce that they'll be shutting down and laying off all 30 employees by year's end, citing tariffs on their source factory. Progressive Furniture is a branch of Souder Woodworking located in Claremont, North Carolina. They're the world's 7th largest furniture manufacturing, selling their wares at Walmart, Target, and Home Depot. QVC is shutting down an iconic studio in Florida, the once dominant shopping giant that influenced shopping patterns in millions of American homes. With TV infomercials, announced it is shuttering a massive studio. The decision comes after the company has lost over $1 billion last year. Discount shoppers can rejoice. Big Lots will be reopening 9 stores across 6 states this month. The stores are reopening under new ownership after the company filed for bankruptcy. Variety Wholesalers, which acquired 219 stores through the bankruptcy process, said the 9 stores slated to open are in Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. A nonpartisan group is planning additional boycotts against major U.S. companies until at least July of this year as part of its ongoing economic blackout. The People's Union USA, a grassroots anti-discrimination organization, says its motives lie in protecting the American working class from the, quote, the greed and corruption that's kept us divided, distracted, and struggling for decades. On April 7th, a 7-day boycott of Walmart has begun to protest what the group sees as the corporate giant's tax avoidance, inequality, and rising prices. Walmart, the world's largest retailer, said in November that it was rolling back DEI policies, including no longer considering race and gender when making decisions about suppliers, ending various diversity programs, and removing the words diversity and DEI from documents in favor of language about belonging. For more news and information that you can use, you can always head over to brownstoneworldwide.com, Cityscape Radio for podcasting and sounds throughout your day, as well as Brownstone Living magazine. Don't forget, today starts a new season in the Brownstone. You can always check out Marciano Lanio over on our YouTube channel tonight for Love Restored at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you around.